Hey, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into something pretty amazing that's happening inside our bodies all the time, completely hidden from view. We are going to follow the incredible, dramatic story of our peripheral nerves, what happens when they get damaged, and the truly remarkable, slow-motion journey they take to try and heal themselves. You know that feeling, right? Maybe your foot falls asleep, or you whack your funny bone and get that weird tingling. Well, that pins and needles sensation is actually a tiny glimpse into the world of your nerves. It's like a temporary glitch in your body's wiring. But what happens when that glitch isn't so temporary? What happens when the damage is real? Okay, so to really get what happens when a nerve is injured, we first have to appreciate just how brilliantly it's designed. You should think of a peripheral nerve less like a single wire and more like a massive, super complex biological data cable. It's packed with thousands of individual fibers, all bundled together perfectly. And just look at this cross-section. You can really see that complexity I'm talking about. See all those bundles within bigger bundles? It's this intricate, protected structure that lets your brain talk to your muscles and lets you feel the world around you. And every single part has a critical job to do. So let's break this cable down. On the very outside, you have the epineurium. That's the tough, protective outer jacket. Then, inside that, the perineurium wraps groups of nerve fibers into smaller bundles. And finally, each individual fiber, the axon, the actual wire carrying the message, is delicately wrapped in its own insulating sleeve called the endoneurium. I mean, it is a total masterpiece of engineering. All right, now for Act 2 of our story, the injury itself. The moment a nerve is cut, or crushed, or stretched too far, this whole dramatic chain of events kicks off at a cellular level. The connection is lost, and all the biological alarm bells start ringing. So the very first thing that happens to the part of the nerve that's been disconnected from the brain is this process called Wallerian degeneration. And, this isn't chaos. It's actually a highly organized demolition. Your body sends in a cleanup crew to systematically break down and clear away that damaged axon, basically clearing the path for a potential rescue mission. So, once the debris is cleared, the body attempts one of its most amazing feats, regeneration. This is the third, and by far the longest act in this story, and it is a journey that requires a ton of patience, incredible precision, and, well, it's really, really slow. 1 millimeter per day. That's it. That is the biological speed limit for a healing nerve. An axon can only regrow at about 1 millimeter a day. So just think about that. If you injure a nerve up in your shoulder, it could literally take years for that signal to find its way back down to your hand. It's an unbelievable testament to the body's persistence. And this incredibly slow growth leads to a really predictable result. As that nerve fiber slowly creeps forward, it reconnects with muscles one by one, in order from closest to farthest. They call it the motor march. The muscles right near the injury wake up first, then the next one down the line, and so on. It's this slow, predictable parade of recovery. So how do doctors keep track of this march? Well, one of the coolest ways is with something called Tinel's sign. By just gently tapping along the path of the nerve, a doctor can find the exact spot where the patient feels a little zapping or tingling sensation. And that tingle, that's the front line. That is the very tip of those regenerating nerve fibers. It's like a real-time map of the healing journey. Now, this path to recovery, it's not always a straight shot. You've got these tiny regenerating axon sprouts, and they're desperately trying to find their original pathways, those little endoneural tubes. But what if they can't find them? What happens if the path is blocked or the map is just gone? Well, that's when you can get something called a neuroma. If the outer nerve sheath is still intact but the inside is all jumbled, those axons can get tangled up, forming what's called a neuroma in continuity. But if the nerve is cut completely, the axons basically hit a dead end. They can't cross the gap, and they just form this tangled, often painful ball of nerve endings called an end neuroma. Because the outcomes can be so different, doctors needed a way to classify how bad the initial injury is. These systems are absolutely crucial because they help predict the chances of recovery and, importantly, help decide if something like surgery is going to be necessary. The mildest injury of all is called neuropraxia. The best way to think about this is like a traffic jam on the nerve highway. The road itself isn't damaged at all, but traffic, the nerve signal, is temporarily blocked. The nerve is just stunned. This is what happens with crutch palsy or when your arm falls asleep. The good news is recovery is usually quick and complete. A step up in severity is axonotomesis.
Now, in this case, the wires, the axons themselves, are actually broken. But, and this is the crucial part, their protective sheaths are still intact. Those sheaths create a perfect little tunnel guiding the new regenerating axon right back to where it's supposed to go. So recovery is definitely possible, even if it's not always 100% perfect.
And finally, we have neurotmesis. This is the big one. This is when the entire nerve cable, wires, sheaths, the whole shebang is completely severed. The guiding tunnels are destroyed. There's just no way for that regenerating axon to find its way home. Without a surgeon going in there to painstakingly reconnect that nerve, recovery just isn't possible. So this chart, based on Seddon's classification, really lays it all out for us. You can clearly see the progression. For neuropraxia, just a block. Full recovery, no degeneration. For axonotmesis, the axon is damaged, but the intact sheaths mean you do get Wallerian degeneration and that telltale progressing Tinel sign. And for neurotmesis, it's a complete cut. The Tinel sign will be there, but it won't go anywhere without surgery. The examples from crutch palsy to a deep cut make it all crystal clear. And of course, science never stands still. The Sunderland classification takes Seddon's great work and adds even more detail. It actually breaks down neurotmesis, that most severe category, into 3 more degrees of severity. It all depends on exactly which of those connective tissue layers are damaged, giving surgeons an even more precise roadmap for planning a repair. When you boil it all down, this one simple sentence really captures the entire epic. It's a 2-act play that's written into our biology. First, this controlled demolition of what's been broken, followed by a patient, determined, and frankly, miraculous attempt to rebuild it all.